Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
By now you should know that if you have not tapped into social media for your marketing, you have truly fallen behind. There are overloads of information out there about how you can do it, but it's tough for you to find the time. So this is it. Seriously, Doc. This is what we as chiropractors have been waiting for. Qualified new patients contacting you with no added effort. 3S Chiropractic Systems is the company run by chiropractors with years of web and social media marketing experience, offering you the complete affordable done-for-you package. Doctors are receiving 10 to 45 new patient requests every month, so the service is swooping across the globe and is geographically exclusive, so you find out right now if your area is still available. They offer full money-back guarantee for the first month, so there is no risk. Apply at 3schiropracticsystems.com/TCP to make sure you don't miss out. All right, TCP listeners, I have an incredible guest today, and that is actually Dr. Shannon Gulbranson. Dr. Shannon, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners today.
I'm excited because we just actually got to connect for the first time this week on a different call. And but I got to tell you, I mean, I've been following you, in your journey, I'll call it your journey for it's probably been about 18 months. It's been a pretty cool, and hopefully we get to talk about that a little bit today too. But for those who haven't been following you, Dr. Shannon, tell us a little bit about you as a leader, you as a chiropractor, and as a person.
Thank you for asking. I have been in practice for over 22 years, chiropractic practice. And I grew up receiving chiropractic from the time I was a little girl. It was always our primary healthcare doctor was our chiropractor. We didn't go to the medical doctor. My growing up years, I was drinking distilled water and eating organic before those things were cool. You know what I mean? It was just part of my upbringing. My parents were extremely progressive in their views about health. So it was instilled in me. I feel like chiropractic chose me. And so been in practice about 22 years, and in that process have opened and started from scratch several very successful chiropractic offices. Such a blessing to be able to serve masses of people. And probably about back in 2010, I had the opportunity to join the staff at a cancer hospital as well. And what's really interesting, because I'm a very straight, very philosophical, principle-based chiropractor. At first I was kind of hesitant because I thought, they're going to make me put on a white coat, And but I knew that it was like this. I knew that was my call to go in and take care of cancer patients. So I entered into that as well as private practice. And it was absolutely phenomenal because I was able to see people that on the outside looked very healthy and on the inside were dying, and help turn the power of the innate healer on within them, and saw so many miracles. So I was doing that. I had a radio program at the time. I had my own fitness studio, was teaching fitness classes as well. I was doing all these things, and it was beautiful. But what I was starting to see as I was looking at these cancer patients is I was starting to see my future if I didn't make a change, because their stories were so similar to my story. I heard all the time, I'm kind of superwoman, or I'm Superman. I'm taking care of everybody. I'm doing all these things. I've always been health conscious, at least in their minds, they thought they were health conscious. And all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt the day they got that diagnosis. And it's that moment when everybody remembers exactly where they were, what they were wearing, what they were thinking, and how it changed everything for them. So I made a decision. And in that time as well, about around that same time in 2010, I started coaching people. I became a healing life coach, opened my own, my healing company, or my healing life coaching company. And I was doing all of that because I saw that there was a need beyond the physical chiropractic adjustment and what that does to change someone's life. I also saw that there was an innate, not innate because it was something that they weren't born with, but sometimes it came from generational things, this subluxation between the head and the heart. And it was this disconnect between the head and the heart, and people are living in a condition of less than divine light. And I said, you know what, there's something that's deeper. There's a deeper adjustment that's required here. So I became a certified life coach, started my healing life coaching company in 2010, and was doing all this and starting to see like incredible results with people. And literally, Dr. Ed, I started out seeing, I was committing 5 hours a week to coaching people. That's all I was doing. But I started getting a lot of doctors, leaders, entrepreneurs. So I'd take 5 clients a week. And then I was doing all the other things I was doing in my private practice, being a single mom, taking care of cancer patients and all of this. And finally I said, you know what? There's something that needs to give here, or something's going to give, and it's going to end up being me, because I was giving my everything to this. And so anyway, I followed my dream, which was to live in New York City. And it always been my dream since I first visited New York in 2002. I visited New York City for the first time. And ever since that day, it was crying out to me. So I made the decision to basically give away or sell about 80% of my belongings. And I moved to New York City not knowing anyone. And that was a life-changing moment for me on so many levels. First of all, the trust that it took to do that, to step out and to follow my dreams. It was a call I felt in my heart. I didn't really understand it. But the big thing was that I knew that I was living a very heavy life. Even though I was doing what I loved and I was loving everything about what I was doing, there was still this cry within my own soul that was like, you know what? Pay attention to me. So my daughter asked me as I was about to move, she said, Mom, what are you going to do when you get to New York City? And I said, I'm going to sit in Central Park with my feet in the grass. And she said, well, how long are you going to sit there? And I said, as long as it takes. So I'm probably one of the few people on planet Earth that went to New York City to find peace, serenity, and calm. But it really, whatever's in your heart, you'll take it wherever you go, right? So I was seeking this. I gave up everything to receive it all. And I got there, put my feet in the grass, and began the healing, deeper inner healing process in my own heart and soul that has really led me to where I am today. That deep connection of learning how to truly date myself well, to love myself well from the inside out, to make sure I'm taking care of me at a level that is so deep and so genuine that I do that before I'm able to care for and help others. And I think a lot of times as healers, as chiropractors, doctors, leaders, entrepreneurs, all of that, a lot of times we put everyone else first. And even though we say this, because I said it too, you got to love yourself before you love others, I didn't really understand the true depth of what that would look like and that would be like in my life. So I lived in New York City for a few years, and then I got a phone call, and that phone call, it changed my life. We can talk about that in a little bit if you'd like. And it brought me to a new city. And in this new city, as well as once I got to New York, I began to coach full time and write and coach. So that is what I do full time. I am still a chiropractor, will always be a chiropractor. I'm still right now in between offices, still trying to work out, getting my license here in Minneapolis. But it has truly been quite a journey. It's interesting when you said you followed my journey, because it's been a journey, Dr. Ed, a journey of healing, heart and soul. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
I'm loving this conversation. So I'm just pulling a few things from this, but the deeper adjustment. Wow. I mean, it's so true. And, following your dream. And one thing that, I wrote down here, letting go to level up. You and I, before we got on this recording today, you're like, I can't believe how fast you guys, like, you just moved. It looks like everything's moved in. I'm like, it's just, honestly, we just have less stuff.
Yeah.
The less we need less and less stuff. And the less stuff we have, the more we actually have in life. It's interesting.
Completely. And you know what? Seriously, I went from 6,000 square feet to a 411 square foot studio apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And you know what? To me, it was like a mansion, because it was in that place that's like, we can hide. We hide behind our stuff a lot of times. We hide behind our titles, our roles, our responsibilities. We hide. And all of a sudden you strip all that away. And the best part is I gave it up willingly. You know, although some of it, you know, it's interesting. I didn't think I was very attached to stuff until all of a sudden you start to get into my like handbags and my shoes, and I'm like, I'm kind of attached to stuff. But anyway, I sized down, and there's something about that. It's like, if you want to live your life in the light, you got to release the heavy.
Yeah.
And that, I'm living proof of that. Now I live in about 900 square feet, and it feels like a serious mansion. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want any bigger. Because we fill it, whatever space we have, we fill it.
Yeah.
And I would rather go out and fill the world with what I have to bring and share than to, you know, fill a bunch of the space with a bunch of stuff.
And hey, I still like nice cars, but
yeah. And you know what? I'm not saying get rid of it. I mean, but this is the deal. This is how I went into it. I go, I gotta love it. Everything in my life now, Dr. Ed, I love it, or I let it go. I mean, everything. I'm talking like every single item, every single thought, every single anything. It's like, if I don't love it, it does not fit in my life.
And we're going to come to I think part of what brought you to that realization as well in a second. But before we do, I'd love for you to drop like an affirmation or positive words, or like a quote that has meaning for you. Drop that on the listeners.
You know, my fabulous, dear mentor taught me this, and it changed my life. It is this: if it can't be interpreted at least two different ways, it's probably not true. And I will tell you, Dr. Ed, that what that means to me is, you know what, we all have our stories. And when we get to this place in life where we think there's one way and there's only one way, and this is how we see it, and it's the only way to be seeing it, it's probably not true if there isn't another way to interpret it, if there isn't another way to see it. And when I got to the place in my life at one of the lowest, hardest places of my life, I had to look and go, what else can I see here? What else can I see that's true about this? Because right now in that moment, the truth looked really dismal. The truth looked very dark, very heavy, and very uninviting, uninspiring, into the point where I was kind of like, I don't really want to go this way anymore. And so either we transform or you die, you know what I mean? So I transformed. I chose to see it another way. So I hope that helps the listeners today, really.
Beautiful. So, you know, one of the things that we always talk about in these episodes, and we always talk about the struggle. We talk about the time you ate struggle for lunch, like you fell flat on your face, what you experienced, what was that like? And then, you know, what was the lesson, the life lesson that you took from that, and how you apply it today?
Wow, you know, eating the struggle, let me tell you, I've actually had that lunch more than one time. And, you know, I talk about how I was spinning plates and doing all these things, and, you know, had all this going on in my life. That was a sign and a symptom of I was running from something. And at the time I didn't know really what I was running from, but I knew there was a place inside my soul that did not feel lovable and didn't feel loved. And because of that story, that at that time was an unconscious story, I didn't know that was going on internally. It led to 3 divorces. Mm-hmm. So I have started over 3 times, and actually more than 3 times. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, you know, and so after the first, you know, I'd been married for 11 years, and it knocked me off my horse, like to the point where I didn't even want to go on, and I didn't know what to do, but I chose life, and I chose to continue. I chose to rise up. The only problem is that even though I had made it through that, you know, because people go through divorce all the time. It's like, you know, why couldn't I get over it? So I did get over it, I thought, but I went through it, but I didn't necessarily, even though you go through it, but you don't necessarily grow through it to the level that, of healing. So I had in my mind that, hey, I was looking at the other person, a lot of blame, a lot of unforgiveness. So finally it grew and healed through that. And then got married again. And then all of a sudden, guess what? It's happening again. And there's, I got cheated on, and just all, the poor me story. And I had the biggest poor me story, going on, but it's like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. And it didn't really occur to me until after the third that I was like, wait a minute. I'm the common denominator here. And I had to take a serious, hard look into my heart and soul. And the beautiful thing about being in a heartbreak situation is when your heart is wide open, you can either choose to quickly bandage it up again, which I had done in the past, and pretend it like, it's all good, it's all good. Well, no, I didn't bandage it up. I actually sat in the pain and felt it. And I looked in every single aspect and in every single corner, nook and cranny in my heart. And I got to know myself. And I was sitting there, it was the middle of the night, and I heard this in my soul. And I heard, Shannon, do you love yourself? And I couldn't answer. And to anyone else, I would have said, well, of course, because I didn't hate myself. Of course not, and I rose up and I had forgiven, and I was like, hey, brush off yourself and you keep going. But I couldn't answer. And all of a sudden I heard this, that's okay. I understand, because in order to love you, you must know you. In order to know you, you must spend time with you. And I was like, so what, like, what next? And it was like, date yourself. I heard it in my soul. And that was a major turning point. So I decided to pursue my heart, unlike anything I'd ever done in my life. And because then after hearing that, I also then heard to stop accepting those things that I didn't want in my life. Stop, like, as you say, you want this, but why do you keep choosing this? You know what I mean? So it led to a heart healing that I've just never experienced, and it led to a best-selling book. I'm so grateful to God for that, to be able to share it with other people. I now have a training camp and a membership where I take women through the process of learning to fully engage with themselves and to date themselves well from the inside out, and to truly become the great lover of their lives. And even though when I wrote the book, I wrote it to the heart of the woman, men love the book too. I mean, it's for all souls. It's for all humans. But while I was writing it, I really needed to connect with that woman that was sitting in the dark, wondering if she was lovable. And I realized, I had an unconscious belief that I wasn't lovable and that lifelong love wasn't possible for me, which is so odd because in my family, like, my parents were married almost 54 years, and it's like I didn't see divorce growing up. So it was interesting though. I always say my primary divorce happened before my divorces ever happened. There was something in my heart and my soul that weren't connecting. My head and my heart weren't in union. And that was a game changer to learn that. And I'm honored. I thank God for those 3 marriages and 3 divorces. I thank God. I'm so grateful for the healing that my soul went through, because had it not went through that, I would not have been able to handle what happened a little over a year ago when I got the phone call that both my parents were killed in a car accident. And that took me to a depth of despair and life change that I never dreamed. We all know that people aren't going to live forever, and we know that mom and dad will someday not be here, but I never dreamt that at 70 years old, they would be there. I would talk to them. We were so excited. It was a couple days after the book hit bestseller. We're on the phone. We're talking. And then the next, 2 days later, they go to church on a Wednesday night, and they leave church, and a minute later are both killed instantly in a car accident. And so the lessons I've learned through loss and learning to love myself well, and the ability to feel it, to heal it, saved my life on so many levels. And to all those who may be listening and watching, I want to remind you that no matter what it is that you go through in life, there is life not only at the end of the tunnel. There's not only a light at the end of the tunnel, but there's light within you. And if you can hold on to that light of truth, even for a moment, because it'll get you through your darkest times. And I remember it was about 8 weeks into this thing, this whole grieving process. And I woke up in the morning and everyone told me, they said, you know, with grief, you got to feel it in it to heal it. I go, I got it. You know, I've been saying that for years. I believe it. After going through 3 divorces, I know how to do this. But I woke up and it was like, yep, this is going to be a grief day. And I had planned to stay in bed all day and cry, you know. And all of a sudden I heard the voice of my dad in my heart. And he said, honey, he said, grief is good. He said, but feeling it, he said, feel it, don't feed it. He said, otherwise it's just like the stray cats on the farm. Once you start feeding them, they never go away. And that was a turning point for me, in that it's like, yeah, feel it, but don't feed it. And to this day, you know, there isn't a day that goes by I don't think about them and I miss them. But I allow myself to feel it. It's like the wave comes, you feel it on your toes. Sometimes it knocks you over. Life, that's life. And, you know, death is a part of life. And whether it's the death of a relationship, the death of a business, the death of whatever, a loved one, the bottom line is if you love yourself and you hold on to that light of truth within you, you can feel it and you can actually grow through it. So I call this whole thing I'm talking to you about really my most brutal and beautiful experience, that I know it's part of why I'm here on planet Earth. It's part of my life's work. And that's why I'm very passionate about teaching doctors, leaders, entrepreneurs how to really connect their heart and soul and to listen to that inner truth and, you know, the beauty that comes from within. Because at the end of the day, you know, we have ourselves, you know, we have those around us too, but if we don't have a relationship with ourselves that can stand the test of time, we're not going to be able to really fulfill the mission that we have within us to fulfill. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wow. I mean, I say wow because like it's bringing, you know, so maybe I'll just tell you the story that it brings for me. It's like, and this is very recent. Just last night, I was watching actually my wife speak at an event in Arizona because I never saw her speak when she went at this big event, and it was called Meltdown in the Desert. And I watched her entire talk. It was like 25 minutes. It was like she took us from like she told the story of like where we went from like practice, the struggle in practice to, you know, near bankruptcy to, you know, me almost dying to, you know, parents, like just that the struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle. And, you know, I wonder like if I, you know, can ask is like, do you think that, you know, well, first of all, I would never give up that experience. I would never want to change that. There's a gift in the struggle. There's a gift there for us. But do you think everyone has to experience that level of being in the pit to be able to come out stronger? Or do you think this is something that you can actually skip that and let's use the, you know, the deeper adjustment? Can you go there without having to go through the multiple knockdowns and struggles?
Apparently not. Apparently not, because, you know, it's so funny because I have always loved to speak and I have always loved to share what's in my heart. And I remember thinking when I first saw Zig Ziglar speak, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I want to be that. And the more I started, you know, meeting and speaking with, at that time, we called them motivational speakers. You know, I had one particular woman I talked to who'd been shot in the head. You know, her plane had been hijacked in Egypt. She was an American woman. You know, it left her. She can't see out of one eye. I mean, all this stuff. And I remember saying to her, I'm like, Jackie, I got to ask you, like, I want to be a motivational speaker, but I really don't want to have to be shot in the head. I really don't want to have to like lose a limb. I don't want to have to like, have this terrible, horrible story. Okay. And she said, oh no, you can be a motivational speaker and just speak from your heart. Well, it was beautiful. I began to speak about purpose and all these things, chiropractic, and all that. But I'll tell you, there is nothing like getting rid of all the crap, that we carry, and all the BS and all the fluff and all the masks. Nothing is more humbling than going to that place that you lovingly call the pit, because it's interesting. My coaching clients will tell me that all the time. They're like, they will define it. I won't even tell them it's the pit. They say, I've been in the pit. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know. I've been in the pit too. But you know what? This is a cool thing. It's like the best thing about being in the pit, being in the like depths of despair, like literally, Dr. Ed, I remember at times like when I was crying so much that there was like a pool full of tears on my hardwood floor. The moon is coming down and I can see this reflection in my tears. And I remember thinking, this pain will not be in vain. And I made a like declaration, this pain is not going to be in vain. Someday this pain will help me help others. But you got to see, we always want to help others, but first we got to like help ourselves. You know what I mean? We have to be able to be healed and to be, I redefined the word healer. I am not the healer. No, I'm the one that's healing within. Therefore, I am a healer. And when we can become the healer that we are within us, we can now relate to other people and walk with them through their healing journey. So yeah, I think it's a requirement. And at least for me it was. And I mean, you'd think after 1, 2, 3, like, hello, how many times you have to go back around that mountain to learn the lesson? But I'm grateful. So yeah. And you've had your struggles too. And it's like, it's hard. Like you never want to see those people you love or anyone go through struggles, but man, they will either break you or they will build you. And the truth is you got to break before you can build. And you get down and you're down and out, snot bubbles coming out your nose and all. And then you choose to stand up. Like, I mean, that's what I did. I finally said, all right, I choose to stand up. I mean, I remember like after with my parents, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? And then I said, you know what? It's happened. So I'm going to see what lesson I can find in this, what beauty I can find in this, what value. And if it means that someday I'll share the story and somebody will show a little more love that day to someone they love, or it's like, okay, I guess I'm the one that's going to bear the torch. But what a blessing and a gift to be able to take our pit or our mess and help bring a beautiful message to a palace.
It's so true. I mean, I mean, we could probably talk for hours about all of the times that you've just in that state of elation from all the incredible things happening where you just get, I'm going to say it, kicked in the nuts. And it's
completely.
Life is like
kicked in the ass, let me tell you, and in the face and in the teeth and in the breasts, like you're just like,
yeah. So, I mean, so this is good because, a lot of the docs, and the purpose behind this podcast is to help other docs not feel isolated, not to know that, if they're in the pit right now, there is a way you can climb out. And that, that's what I would love to do is actually, can you help docs by maybe just letting them know, like, how can they actually learn more about what you're doing and how you're helping docs be more, just of, I guess, give them that deeper adjustment. So how can they learn more?
Learn more.
Like website, podcasts, anything that they can digest.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. Bottom line is, I'm going to be launching a podcast very soon. I'm stoked about it. But right now I do a Facebook Live every single day at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can go to DIY Coaching Guides, and you can get, a live training sent to your inbox every day and inspiration and reminders of, I call them DIY coaching secrets. Like you can go to every coach, you can go to all these people to get to somehow heal you, somehow, lead you, guide you. And that's all well and good. But if you're not willing to like coach yourself, and as I would say, date and inspire yourself, that's DIY, date and inspire yourself. Like all that other stuff doesn't matter. I mean, I've spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars with coaches and mentors and teachers, and I'm all about that. Don't stop doing that. But remember this, If that stuff just goes and sits on a shelf and you're not actually taking action every single day, doing it for yourself, not all by yourself, but for yourself, it doesn't matter. And they could also go to Dr. Shannon Live, because that's where I'll be posting information about the podcast, which I'm really, really excited about. And then, of course, my book, dateyourselfwell.com. You can go get a free copy. All you have to do is pay shipping, and I'll send it out to you, whether you're a man or a woman. It's, you know, these lessons that I've learned about getting fully engaged with your life, because the bottom line is, if you can take one step today, whatever that is, and that step may be simply showing up, but show up with all of you. The failures, the hurts, the pain, the struggle, the reality of who you are right now in this moment, not where, you know, the past, not even where you're going in the future, but where you are right now. That's what I do, Dr. Ed, with my coaching clients, healing life coaching. It's about, I love an acronym, HEAL, hope, energy, which is really engaged energy, awareness, and love. When we can start tapping into hope, which is belief, desire, and trust, and we can start engaging with the energy that is our life, and we can begin to become aware of some things. So many people are so unaware. I was unaware. I was like, had this story going on, and I was unaware of my story. And then you get to that place of love, which is total acceptance, because even going through what I went through with my parents, I used to think that love was like the most important thing. I now know it's really the only thing that really, really matters. Like, love is the only thing that really, really matters. And what is love? Love is truth. Love is now. Like, love is now. So no matter where you come from or where you're going, Doc, step into your now, stand up, show up, speak up, and really, like, do that and watch what happens. Everything can change the moment you begin to stand up, show up, and speak up.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And, you know, this is the segment in the episode where we actually put you in our cheesy TCP time machine. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, yes. I love it.
All right, here we go. So this is called Back to the Future. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you into the TCP time machine. We're going to send you back to a younger version of yourself right after you came out of chiropractic college. So you have all the life experience and knowledge you have today. What would you say to the younger self?
I would say, girl, trust yourself. Trust yourself. And you know what? When you can trust yourself, you can love yourself. And there were so many times when I did not trust that inner voice, you know, that inner truth. And that's it. I mean, you got to trust yourself and then be willing to learn and willing to love, period.
Beautiful.
That's what I would say.
Beautiful. And, you know, you've already dropped so many resources. And by the way, anyone who's listening, you know, you can head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com, and we'll have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Shannon today as well. However, I'm going to ask you for one more resource. And this is like anything that you're listening to, reading, anything that you're like, you know, these listeners have to go and check this out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know there can only be one, but I got to tell you there's two. Okay. I am absolutely obsessed with online internet digital marketing stuff. Like, that is because it's always scared me. Okay. I'm so obsessed with it. So the book I'm reading right now is by Russell Brunson, Expert Secrets. Like, you must get it, and stop telling yourself, Doc, that you don't have time and that you don't know. Okay. Bottom line is, we all have the same number of hours in the day. You will have time for what you desire. You got to tap into, if your desire is to do these things and it scares the crap out of you, do it anyway, and do it. And so you got time, read that book, Expert Secrets, amazing. And then I'm telling you, Warrior, or Wake Up Warrior, Garrett J. White. And that's how I ended up finding you, Dr. Ed. I'm so grateful. Like, seriously, the moment I heard him start to speak, I was like, my soul was speaking to me. I heard my inner warrior Because I'm serious. Like, I've always known I had an inner warrior, and I would actually talk to her and I would refer to her as my warrior. And and then all of a sudden life started happening and I got knocked off my horse, and I kind of forgot about my warrior within. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a brother from another mother, even though he's an amped up version and he says the F word a lot more than I do, even though sometimes I still say it. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah, Garrett is a massive influence on this episode, on this podcast, I should say. And yeah, he's just a massive influence on a lot of, like, I was at WarriorCon 6 weeks ago or something, 7 weeks ago. And I mean, it was crazy. He had 500 men. They said, if you're a chiropractor, put up your hand. And I swear there were about 30 or 40 guys put their hands up.
It's so incredible, because this is the bottom line. It's truth. I feel like if we can stand in truth and we can live in it, we can be, honest with ourselves, and we can be honest with others and truly walk in that light of truth. Like, we are unstoppable. And so, yeah, that's what I love. He speaks the truth, and it resonates with the truth within me. So yeah, I'm grateful. I wish so badly I could dress up like a man and sneak into one of those events, but
I'm sure something that I know they have something coming that's going to be, for men and women. So warriors, there'll be something coming. So listeners, you can head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. Again, we'll have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with all the resources and links. If you're actually listening on your mobile, go ahead and actually open your show notes, and you'll have access, and you can link up right now with Dr. Shannon. Dr. Shannon brought it today. Awesome discussion. Thank you so much for giving back.
I so appreciate it. I am grateful. Thank you, everyone, and continue to go out and love your life and your life's work well.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.